looking at what would be turn 1 of the Legends track, and the rest of the front straightaway headed down to turn 1 of the NASCAR Winston Cup part of the Charlotte Motor Speedway. We'll be back here next Tuesday and every Tuesday for the next 10 weeks as we bring you more of the Summer Legends Shootout Series. The Kids Cast Drop next week. If you didn't see one of those last summer, boy, that is great. All the Humpy Bucks floating out of the air. Bobby Labonte and Bobby Hillin will be our Home Depot Challenge drivers. There you see the lineup of cars getting set for the semi-pro division.
A lot of familiar names there. John Freeman. Interesting thing about Freeman's car, John owns a local stereo dealership.
Car stereo place, yeah.
Freeman's Stereo. As a matter of fact, he has his Legends cars on his billboards around town. That is the only Legends car out there that has its own stereo system built into it. Got a huge set of speakers in the back, AM, FM, cassette stereo on the dash. So I don't know if he actually uses it while he's cruising around, but he's wired for sound.
I like that.
That's not a bad idea.
I wonder what kind of music you choose to, you know,
I think you
set
kind
the
of
mood.
I
What would
think
you
you kind
play?
of got to rock and roll. I would be playing like the Allman Brothers, maybe Eat a Peach, but that would be my personal preference. I don't know what he's got
I'd
in
go
there.
more along the lines of Wild Thing, I think would be.
That's you all over. Yeah,
Well,
you're kind of the
it's-
Ralph.
Well, that's a California thing
Yeah.
as opposed to that Southern thing that you did growing up. Here's a look at the rest of the field. You see 13 rows of them, and Chuck Spicer and the 24 KT will be back in row 13.
Chuck, the PR guy for STP Racing, handles Bobby Hamilton's public relations on the Winston Cup Series.
That's how the total money is spread out over all the divisions. The total purse for the entire evening is a $24.80 in the bottom. And you see how it breaks down per division, and they spread it out amongst each division. Again, you might be saying, oh, God, the semi-pro guys are on race for $655 total for all 13 rows? Yeah, but remember, if you break a front suspension piece, it only costs you about $18 to replace it. So if you can pocket $50 here tonight, you've more than covered your cost of racing, and you have some money you got a good budget for next week.
I think you pointed it out in the opening of the show, Ralph. This is these drivers' golf game. They're not out here to make money. This is not something you get into to turn a big profit. You do this because you love to go racing and you enjoy what you're doing.
The only guys that are different are those that are hoping for professional racing careers and using this as a step ladder to the next division. Green flag is out in Roger Slack's hands, and we're racing into one. Contact, lots of it.
But they all keeping a relative straight line, and the pack thunders down into turn number 3 here. Timothy Peters, the 77, caught on the outside, and the leader is going to be the 02 of Ronnie Austin.
The number 23 stuck to the inside. We've got 223. There's the other one right there. Looks like E.B. Jackson was the one that spun to the inside, which means Bill Jarvis is the other one. There's the 23 that's going to go spinning right there. You see the 75 involved in that as well.
Ray Carey does a good job of missing that car, along with a couple of other folks that slide on by without any contact.
Including Jeff Turner in the 47. And we got a handout from our leader, and I believe a yellow flag in the hands of Roger Slack. Roger Slack is the official flagman the American Speed Association's AC Delco Challenge Series, and a good friend of Humpy Wheeler.
And this is the 47 car, I believe, that spun off here.
Yeah, that's Jeff Turner.
There's the leader. That's Ronnie Austin on the point there.
Here's Jeff. He's out of the car and okay.
This is the semi-pro division. We'll have the pro division show coming up a little bit later on. The guys that some of them want to stay in the pros and run there for the rest of their racing career, and others, you pointed out, Ralph, figure if they can come up, win some features, show off, they might get a ride in a little bit more competitive or higher level type of racing, where you might actually go racing and
like
try
a John
to pay your own way.
A John Crow, for example. Now, one driver we saw a lot of last year who is in the pro division is Brian Sockwell out of Brown Summit, North Carolina. He's standing by with Mark Garrow.
Ryan, you're not very color coordinated. I see a blue and white suit and a black and yellow race car for you, the Square D car. How come you didn't have time to be a little more coordinated here tonight?
Well, we just got them Coca-Cola week, and ever since we got sponsored with Square D, we won the first two during pole night. So sitting on the poles tonight, so I hope we do good. My other car is blue and gold, so this was black and gold. Their old colors were blue and gold. Their new colors are black and gold. So
Brian Sockwell is trying a little bit different avenue to the championship. Last year, the semi-pro champ, he now takes a step up in class to see if he can do it twice in a row here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Let's go back upstairs to Ralph Shaheen and Doug Rice.
Brian Sockwell is one of those drivers that would like to potentially see if he has what it takes for a professional racing career. So the next step out of semi-pro is to the pro division. From there, you would probably venture on to a regional racetrack such as a Concord Motor Speedway or a Bowman Gray, and maybe run one of the Baby Grand division cars like we saw earlier tonight.
Maybe run a Baby Grand, or you might try your wares in, like you were saying, maybe ASA racing, or you might go NASCAR All-Pro racing. If you wanted to make a really big jump, there's the Freeman car, and then the 7P of John Pascarella from Mooresville, North Carolina. We saw John race a lot last year.
I think I would try one division first before I stepped into an All-Pro or an ASA car. Get something a little bit bigger under your feet. Green flag.
And the leader, Ronnie Austin, pulls that field back down through turn number 2.
Oh, the 77 cars had all kinds of problems getting together with everybody. Tim Peters here tonight in a beautifully prepared car. Oh, and they're going to see the 44 go around now. Wayne Austin was battling with Peters.
It's Ryan Stanley in the 44 that was looped there.
Well, you got 144 that says Ryan Stanley on your grid, and I got another 44 that says Wayne Austin on mine. Oh, well, par for the course.
That Tim Peters car, you commented on it, Ralph. That is a beautiful machine. That number 77, it's got a very unique paint scheme on it. Brand new race car. First time it's ever been on the track tonight.
That is your battle for third place. The 23 and the 7P. 7P, John Pascarella. The 23, this one is Bill Jarvis, because we saw E.B. Jackson spin earlier.
A good distance there, about 3 car lengths back to the Pascarella car as he tries to pull on up there and make a little way up through the grid here. Back to our leaders here.
This one is settling down up front a little bit. We need to see the 5F. John Freeman, he's going to have to change CDs, I think, find something a little bit rowdier to get him a little bit more energized, to get up there and charge. Get rid of the opera music, John.
I think possibly I Can't Drive 55 or
that
something.
Would help. That would help right about now. Yes, sir.
Life is a Highway. Well, we could go on with this, but we choose not to.
Well, the 77 has provided lots of excitement and continues as he takes out a couple of cars as he spins around.
Well, Ralph, you know how we were saying the 77 was an immaculately prepared race car? It looks so good.
Was the key word.
Yeah. In the past tense sense, there being the very key part of that phrase.
18B of Greg Herlocker, the white car. The 49 is Freddie Lancaster. Here's a look at it.
Now, Freddie Lancaster there gets into the rear end of Peters. Peters spins around. Lancaster looks like he's going to escape, and then he gets tagged from the rear, and then it's a 4-car traffic jam behind Tim Peters there, and most of them power up and get away. We saw the car of Freddie Lancaster there from Troutman, North Carolina, with the Big Daddy sponsorship on it. Talked to him before the race, and I said, "You want us to say something nice about the restaurant?" He says, "You know, I've got most everybody that works at the restaurant down here working on the car for the first show tonight, so tell them to go, but not tonight, because I got all the cooks here helping make the car run."
Bray Carey did a nice job avoiding that as well in the 13 car, and we'll be back with more as we get our semi-pro cars lined back up. Stay with us on Sports South.
That's an alien that's dropped in here, and the children are trying to chase. That's Lugnut, the Speedway mascot.
And he's got one of those power water squirters, and the kids are having a great time down there getting hosed down from Lugnut. They ran a World of Outlaw race at Metrolina Speedway this year. Oh, that's it. Always got to get the track security
Isn't
guards.
that everybody's wish to zap a security guard with a water gun?
Of course, you can lose your credential. And Lugnut, just don't get it on the racetrack. We spent enough time wasting with the grease sweep. We don't need to hose down the surface at all.
Now, if you're wondering why we're sitting here watching Lugnut attack small children with a water cannon, it's because we had a big crash down in turn 3 a moment ago. and it put a tremendous amount of fluid down on the racetrack. So they're dropping another batch of stay dry.
There's to Ralph Shaheen. We get this thing back underway. Ralph, just 5 green flag laps. It'll be a heck of a sprint.
It really should be, Mark. Thank you for another fine report with Barry Graham as we get set to go back to green flag racing.
Barry cut out of the Legends Series early last year to go back to Australia to race, but talked to him. He said, I'm here for the full duration this year, and I'm going to try to win that Pro Championship this year. Of course, being a driving instructor for the Richard Petty Driving School, pretty good credentials. Roger Slack has out the green flag with just 5 laps remaining in this particular event. And they're back underway with Austin and Freeman battling down the backstretch. Freeman takes a peek to the inside, and the stereo-powered machine is on the point.
He obviously hit the disc changer and has got something a little bit wilder blazing through the tune box, and he is rolling pretty good right now. If he can fend off Ronnie Austin for just a handful of laps more, he's got a win in the Summer Legends Shootout Series.
He keeps hitting him like that, though. It's going to make that disc skip a little bit. Of course, if you missed it, Ronnie, the only car out here that has a stereo aboard.
2 together, the 75, Chris LaFoliette, and the 7P, John Pascarella.
But Freeman powers on.
There's a look at the spin. Gee, that would be the 77 involved in that now, would it?
That's that nice-looking car that started out the race immaculately prepared.
Freeman faking a little bit. Boy, John is really hustling that 5F.
John Freeman in the red and white car. The blue car is Ronnie Austin.
Oh, he tried to pitch it in there. And he went a little too hot into the corner. Knocked some of our rumble strips away.
Ronnie Austin will inherit the lead and the checkered flag. So give the win in the semi-pro to Ronnie Austin from Trinity, North Carolina.
Here's a look at it again. Watch Freeman just pitch this baby into the corner. He just stands on her, trying everything he could to hold off Austin. And instead, it went around on him. He tapped those brakes as he tried to pitch it in there, and it just broke loose on him. What a shame for John Freeman. Great news for Ronnie Austin. He is now the points leader in the semi-pro division here in the Summer Legends Shootout Series for 95.
So Freeman loses it going into the last lap. He'd already taken the white flag as the leader, and Ronnie Austin inherits the victory.
Tonight's Pro Division starting grid is brought to you by Kendall Motor Oil. Ryan Sockwell, G.E. Chapman on the front row. Truck Graffar and John Crow in row number 2. Look at the names. If you are a regular spectator in Legends car races, you'll note that the first 4 rows are very strong, and it doesn't get a whole lot easier back behind that. Some new names, some people have moved up out of semi-pro, and some of the big heavy hitters have stuck around, and it shows.
Jack Campata and Greg Schultz both were winners last year here in the Summer Shootout Series, and they're starting in the last row tonight, so that shows you the level of competition we've got here.
Wide number 1 car.
You know, Bruton's been pretty busy building racetracks. Is he noticing that brilliant moon rising up over the backstretch? Any plans to be the first track on the moon, Doug?
First track on the moon.
Green
like
flag.
To promote that.
Three wide in turns 1 and 2. Brian Sockwell to the inside as we go down into turn number 3.
And we're cleanly through the first of 20 laps that will make up our pro feature event tonight.
That's a great-looking car Sockwell's got going. I vote for the black and gold. Down into turn number 3. Looks a lot better than the blue car he ran last year, don't you think?
Beautiful machine. Brian Sockwell, good driver, really feathers the gas nicely, and he runs good, consistent laps, too.
The battle for 4th continues. as you see the 1, the 04. Oh, hard on the brakes, and the 04 is Tommy Rape. Can't get it caught up. He goes out of it.
Don't think this will bring out a caution. A pretty easy, lazy spin there for Tommy Rape as he gets sideways.
Here's another look at it. He just ran up on him too hard and had to stand on the brakes.
Got up into John Crow, got onto the brakes, and around she goes.
Number 28, I believe that is.
That's 29 of G.E. Chapman.
G.E. Chapman.
G's broken away, and he's the race leader on the point now.
Here's your battle for 4th.
John Crow in the 1 car, and the 7 is Doug Vandenbrink.
Is that Crow or David Wagner? I think that's Wagner's number 1. Crow, I think, is farther up. There's Crow.
There you go.
He's battling for 2nd place with Brian Sockwell. This is Brian's first Pro Division race, and boy, is he mixing it up with the big guys.
Brian comes up, tags him on the rear deck lid, tries to move him out of position. Crow does a great job there of holding his line in the 1 car. They're not but about 3 car lengths off the leader here, so they've got the leader within sight, but they keep playing bumper cars back there. The leader's going to drive off and leave them.
Crow with the visor up on the helmet. It's a beautiful night for racing here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. In fact, you guys ought to bring some of this weather in May. Look at the pass on the inside by Sockwell now.
He made it stick, gets low, but they're still side by side with Crow up on the outside.
Crow has got lots of horsepower out of his Yamaha FJ motor. If he was able to hold on to the outside like that, they'll dive to the inside now. You saw Sockwell throw his hand up in the air there for a minute. Halfway home, 10 laps are in the books, 10 to go.
Brian Sockwell in the 4U car. He won over 20 feature events in Legends Car Racing last year. So he knows how to take the car to the front.
Here's that battle for 4th place again. The 1 of David Wagner and the 7 machine. You want to take a guess as to which 7?
We have 2.
2.
We have 2 to choose from. I think that's Vanderbrink because I think Henley has got a maroon colored car. When I was down in the pitch checking that earlier. So I'll go on the limb.
I think that's a pretty good limb to go out on.
There's our leaders continuing to cruise away. He's got about an 8 car length advantage over Sockwell now, but Sockwell's got a few laps yet to chop that away.
Camera holding for a look at the gap between 1st, 2nd, and the battle for 4th. 25 having problems. Sam Jeanette. On to 4th place.
Being dogged there. They zip down the backstretch, which is actually pit road here on the Winston Cup track at Charlotte Motor Speedway. They go in the opposite direction.
And now one around in the infield. That's the Conway entry in the 97, the Ron Shoe Imports pack.
These guys have been going at it here. Doug Vandenbrink out of Harrisburg moves to the inside.
And he'll make it stick. Doug taking over the lead, or the battle for 4th, I should say. Takes over the position.
He's going to come back on. We get a good look at the Barry Graham car. That's the number 43 machine, but he's being waved to slow down.
That's Chuck Raffar in the 3C. That is the battle for 6th. And Roger Slack has a yellow flag, as that 07 of Conway still sits in the infield. It's not moving. I think they're going to bring the wrecker out and get him out of the way.
See a lot of smoke coming out from underneath the Conway car.
The concession stand. I'm betting big money he's at the concession stand.
Or has been reported in that area.
Or the suites, because some of the suites are opened up here, and the Speedway Club members are enjoying the festivities up here at the Speedway Club.
Had good races tonight. Our Masters Division show an excellent 3-way battle throughout, and this one has been a pretty good battle here until our leader pulled out G.E. Chapman from Indian Trail. had the big lead there, but this yellow flag evaporated all that, so he loses all that advantage, and now he's going to have to deal with Brian Sockwell. I don't think Brian will let him get away so quick here.
No, and don't forget about John Crow right behind him. I'm surprised Crow hasn't closed up a little bit more. Maybe he's trying to build up a little bit of a run. Here he comes. Green flag.
Chapman wiggled a little on the restart. See if Sockwell can take advantage of that.
Crow lost a little bit of ground. It looks like the battle's going to be between these two. Just 4 to go. Next time by. Boy, Sockwell is not afraid to use that bumper, is he?
They've tagged him 2 or 3 times. He hasn't really been able to have an effect on him. Sockwell looks for another opportunity.
3 laps to go this time.
If you watch, Brian will take a different line than G.E. Chapman does into the turn. He takes a much lower turn and actually starts turning the car maybe 4 car lengths earlier than Chapman does when they get to the turns trying to cut him off.
He's going to have to do something in a hurry. Next time by should be the white flag for Roger Slack.
Sockwell is a single car length off the race leader, G.E. Chapman, as they hurdle off into turn 3.
We got a car around in the turn 3 area, and the white flag is out. Oh, that makes it interesting if you have that seat, doesn't it?
They've got a moving chicane on the racetrack now as they bolt back down the backstretch and head into turn number 3.
He was able to get on it and get going again. Here we go, down into turn number 3. G.E. Chapman and Brian Sockwell to the final checkered flag. Chapman is your winner in the Pro Division. The final checkered flag has fallen on round 1. We'll be back after this. In every form of racing, there is a Best Move of the Race award. And tonight's Best Move is brought to you by Gatorade, and it was thrilling.
The thirst-quenching replay here. This was our leader, Jerry Dickerson. He comes along, gets sideways, gets up on his side, then on his roof as the car flips and comes to rest in the infield grass. He completes the roll. He walked away easily, but he had a sure victory disappear from his hands.
The racing is over and the crowd is filing out here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. The Pro Feature results are in. Chapman, Sockwell, Crow, Vanderbrink, and John Craig, your top 5 for round number 1 action. We'll be back here next Tuesday and every Tuesday for 10 weeks to do it all over again. Kids Kastrop and Bobby Labonte and Bobby Hillen in the Home Depot Challenge. Good night of racing tonight to kick it off.
4 good feature races, 4 good finishes. I think you can get used to it throughout the entire summer.
For Mark Garrow and Doug Rice, I'm Ralph Shaheen. Thanks for joining us live on Sports South. We'll see you at G.E. Chapman next week right here on Sports South. Good night. With a full moon overhead, the first week of the Summer Legends Shootout was a wild ride right from the beginning. The Masters showed us the old guys can still bump and grind with the best of them. While 2 of NASCAR's young guns, Jeff Gordon and Todd Bodine, went fender to fender in the Home Depot Challenge. Meanwhile, the semi-pros were, well, semi-pros. It was great racing and big fun. Week 2 of the Summer Legends Shootout Series is next. It's a beautiful summer night in the Carolinas, perfect for racing. Hello, everybody. I'm Ralph Shaheen, and welcome to Sports South's coverage of round number 2 of the Summer Legends Shootout Series. We're back at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Ralph Shaheen, Doug Rice, and Mark Garrow with you. And we're set for our first actual Legends car race of the night. It's the Pro Division. And it's all brought to you by the good folks at Kendall Motor Oil. There you see the grid, Brian Sockwell and Barry Graham. Barry Graham is one of those drivers we expect to see a lot of. Didn't see much out of him as much as we had hoped last week. John Crow, the defending champ of the series, this division. Doc Broon, the 99.7 car. Working our way back through G.E. Chapman. You heard from him earlier on back in row 4 as we move on back through the grid. This class, Doug, is where the real intensity is.
Well, these are the big daddies in the Legends car division, and they come out here and they're ready to race. You see Brian Sockwell there. He's one of the top performers in all of the pro division. And of course, G.E. Chapman on top of the points. Sockwell, John Crow, Doug Vanderbrink, John Craig round out your top 5. And I've talked with John Crow a few minutes before practice today, or after practice. He wasn't real happy with the way his car was performing. He said it was lagging coming up off of the turns. He really couldn't transfer the power down to the wheels, and they were going to do a lot of work on it. But as of about a half an hour before the start of the features, he wasn't happy at all with his performance level.
We're green. Sockwell jumps out to a huge lead, but look at the battle for second.
John Crow on the point there in the 1 car. He's going to get nudged from behind, though, as there's a wild scramble back there. Barry Graham almost gets sideways in the 43.
Graham was absolutely fighting to regain control of that car. Everybody on the binders in the middle of 2. Down the backstretch, and here comes Barry Graham. The 04 is Tommy Rape. He's battling for about 5th. We got one together. He's going around. That's the 29 car. That's Sam Trevette, or G.E. Chapman, I should say.
Last week's winner and the point leader, G.E. Chapman, in trouble here. If you caught the opening, G.E. said they come out here pretty intense. The 04, Tommy Rape, turns it around. Looks like he's got a loose bumper. He'll get black flagged for that. They'll have to pull him off and reattach that one before they let him go.
So the Lancaster, South Carolina driver is out of it for now. There is Brian Sockwell. Ran extremely well in the semi-pro division last year. Moves up to the pro class and is really strutting his stuff early on. Here's the battle for 3rd.
That's Barry Graham, driving instructor for the Richard Petty Driving School, on the point there in the pro division. Richard Petty lookalike car. Chuck Rafar in the 3C. In his wake is the 10 car of Jack Campana.
The black flag is out on the 04.
That's Tommy Rape for dragging that bumper, and he's going to have to head to the garage area there. Brian Sockwell, last year's 1994 Summer Shootout Semi-Pro champion, also the 94 Goodwrench National Champion Semi-Pro winner.
This could be, as you look at John Crow. Well, let's take a second now and step down to Mark Garrow. Mark?
A bad night for John Crow in the engine department. He told me earlier during the heat race the car just would not pull up out of the corners. They did a quick engine rebuild. They tore the engine all the way down to the camshaft in hopes of trying to locate the problem, but it appears he's still got the problem. He gets out of the turns real well, but the car starts lugging about halfway down the straightaway, just won't pull, and he's losing ground with every lap.
This could be an absolutely tremendous night for Brian Sockwell. He sits second in the pro division points, 4 points behind G.E. Chapman, who's been black flagged. He's out of it. Sockwell wins here tonight. He can have a huge lead over G.E. Chapman.
Sockwell right now enjoying a nice lead over Greg Schultz back there in the 32B car, and he's moved up within about 3 car lengths. But look at the line that Sockwell brings up off the turns. He comes up off the turns to the low side, accelerates up, and Schultz having to take a much different line off the turns, going a lot wider.
Look at the battle for 3rd place now. That's Graham in the 43 and the 99 of John Craig.
John Craig putting the heat on. He looks the inside. Barry Graham will shut the door on him. You know, when you go to your high school reunion, you always get a prize for the person that comes the farthest.
Farthest?
The farthest to get there. He's from Sydney, Australia. He'd win. That's where I was going to. We got back to the leaders here. Sockwell getting some challenge now, Ralph.
He's getting hammered on, Doug, and we've got a number 1 entry of David Wagner off just about there. That's down in turns 1 and 2. And here's that battle for 3rd, and a good one it is. Barry Graham, the rear end dancing around on him a little bit in the 43 car, the blue and red machine.
John Craig on.
Here's the battle for the lead, and look at Schultz now as he starts looking to the inside.
Greg Schultz from Huntersville, North Carolina, took a peek to the inside, and Sockwell's waving him off. The yellow flag is out. Universal sign to slow down.
So we'll have to wait and see as Roger Slack, who's not flagging tonight, runs over to check on John Craig. Here's how the Legends divisions shake down. There are 4 different divisions. Of course, you're watching the pro class. That's for the advanced drivers. You kind of work your way back. Intermediate for those that have maybe won a couple of races in the Charger division, but not quite good enough for the pros yet or comfortable enough to go up there. Masters, if you're over the age of 40, you qualify for that. And the Charger division are for drivers that are just beginning, getting started, and just enjoying themselves.
And you can stay in the Chargers division till you feel comfortable. There's no mandatory kicking you up a level rule. If you race 2-3 years until you feel comfortable, until you want to move up on your own, you don't have to. Greg Schultz, the guy that's challenging our leader out there right now. Ralph has got some experience I know you're familiar with. He's done a lot of flat track motorcycle racing. He's also done some of that ice racing. They put the studs on the motorcycle tires and go at it.
Well, we know he can charge then because anybody that gets involved in that form of racing, either one, is usually pretty fearless. Green flag is back out with 13 to go. Trying to get around the outside as you look at Doc Brewer in the 99.7 car. Sockwell gets a jump on Schultz and really starts to open up the lead. Let's see if he can close it back down now.
Got a great jump that time and pulled out to about a 4-car length lead. Schultz reeled him in the longer they went green last time. Looked like Schultz had a better line on the racetrack. You can see John Crow back there in the 1 struggling back in mid-pack. Brian Sockwell still enjoying a car length lead, but Schultz will peek to the outside and then try to cut it low.
That battle for third is every bit as good as you watch the 43 of Barry Graham fighting off that black 99. Graham's car didn't seem to be handling as well early on. It seemed to be a little bit looser in the rear end. And he's still fighting a push there coming off the 4.
John Craig, car length back. Meanwhile, up front, Schultz looks like he's putting a move on to the inside.
Big change of the lead as they came off at turn number 2. Schultz got the better drive, and that's going to change coming off of 4.
Sockwell wheel to wheel with Schultz off 4. Now he will take the advantage. Schultz gives him a little bit of the chrome horn coming off turn 2.
I am really impressed with Brian Sockwell this year, coming up from the semi-pro division, second in his first week in the pros, and now challenging for the lead again.
Lead has changed 3 times in the last 4 laps. Schultz wants to make that 4 times, but can't get the run up off the turn that he was looking for.
Your math teacher would be so proud.
Yeah, he would, considering he held me back a year.
Leaders coming off at turn 4, up across the line once again. We continue to put laps in the book. This is Pro Division of the Legends cars here tonight at the Summer Legends Shootout Series. And look at the battle for third.
John Craig got a little impatient there, tried to move the 43 out of the way. This time he's to the inside.
Oh, he's right on him as they got together down there in turn 3, and Graham's going around. That had to happen. They were racing too close. In fact, I thought it was going to happen down to 3 when he dipped down into the grass.
Ralph, that was a wreck that took a lap to unfold. It started at the start-finish line before, and some heavy damage to the 1 car off into the grass area. Barry Graham also has his car pretty well dinged up.
That was the 99 car that you saw sitting off in the grass right there. That's the car that was battling it out there. John Craig was running so hard with Barry Graham. And a couple of looks at it, Doug. I thought it was going to happen before this. Coming off of 4, and finally they connect.
And I think, as rough as that looked, it almost looked like incidental contact. I don't think at that point either one of the guys was trying to drive into each other. It's just they couldn't reestablish their lines coming off of turn number 4. Both of them were going in a straight line in the same direction.
At that point, I think you're right. It was just hard racing. At that point, they're side by side. There you see the damage. We've talked about this in the past, that the front suspensions tend to give way pretty quickly. If you make contact, you usually are out of it. And I've asked the folks at 600 Racing, why don't you stiffen that part up so that they don't break so easy? They said the good news is if it breaks, it's 18 bucks. That's it. You can get that fixed and go back racing
and
real quick.
If it held firm, you bend up the frame rails and warp out the whole car, and that costs a lot more to get repaired, so they'd rather have that part snap loose.
Well, we're back to green. So now the battle is strictly for the lead. And John Crow, who sits fourth on your screen right now, got very lucky. He had fallen all the way back to about 7th position. 2 cars fell out. He picked off 1. He's back inside the top 5, and he currently sits 3rd in the points, Doug. So he could inherit 2nd place tonight because of the problems that G.E. Chapman had.
And Greg Schultz is not quite ready yet to surrender the victory to Brian Sockwell, as he is wearing his rear bumper out.
Schultz has the faster car. The question is, can he get around it? Boy, he is driving the daylights out of it.
Schultz's car just a little bit tighter right now, and Sockwell's car is starting to loosen up, Ralph. You can see him kick off the 4th turn that last time by.
Sockwell is feeling the heat. How cool, how calm, how mature is this driver who has moved up from the semi-pro ranks? Is he ready for the pro division? It's looking like it tonight.
Sockwell, 2-car length of the league, the defending semi-pro champion. He uses brakes a little bit that time to slow up Greg Schultz behind him.
Schultz has lost some ground, and Vandenbrink in the 7 car starts to close up out of Harrisburg. Doug Vandenbrink on the final lap.
That's going to open up the door for Brian Sockwell, because all of a sudden Schultz has got to protect his rear flank, and that's going to let Sockwell drive away.
Sockwell's got this one in the bag. Brian Sockwell, the new force in the pro division, gets the first win of 1995, extends his points lead in the pro division, and has weathered off another fierce storm in the pro class. Stay with us. We'll be back to talk to the hottest driver in Pro Division Legends Car Racing when we come back. The first Legends Car race of the night is in the books. Brian Sockwell wins it and extends his point lead. Greg Schultz did a tremendous job in battling it out with him. John Crow picks up needed points and moves into 2nd place in the overall point standings. You can see the lights are coming on full blaze here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway as the infield is coming to life. The sound of Legends cars. There's Yamaha FJ1200 motors coming around as the semi-pro division cars roll off. And Ray Carey, a heat race winner, will be on the pole position. Tim Bolton will line up alongside of him. John Mr. Car Stereo Freeman in the 5F, and Bill Jarvis round out row number 2. Working our way back through. Keep an eye on Jimmy Sides in the 00, one of the original cars. In fact, that's chassis number 42 of the originals. Robin Dallenbach, her husband is Wally Dallenbach. She finished 8th, I believe it was, in the race last week. She'll be another one to keep an eye on. So you look your way back through the field. Ryan Stanley, the brother of Robbie Stanley, the great open wheel star. Here's a look at the point standings in the semi-pro division. Bill Jarvis looking to make up some ground here tonight. Chuck Spicer, how'd he sneak in there? 5th. Incredible.
Chuck,
green flag, Bray, get on the gas. Everybody comes out of turn number 2. We keep them all straight, and we've had a change for the lead.
Tim Bolton on the point now with a 2-car length advantage. Bray Carey drops back to 2nd. 3rd place for the moment will be Bill Jarvis. There's the Freeman car.
Yeah, but keep your eyes on that 77. Young Timothy Peters in that 77 is 14 years old. And boy, was he Mr. Excitement last week. One of the trickiest paint jobs you'll ever see. It's a burgundy-colored car, but it's kind of marbleized. You got to see it up close in the daylight to really get a good look for it. And doesn't even have a driver's license yet, and he was all over the place, getting into lots of scrapes. Here's the battle for 2nd. Bray Carey in the 13, John Freeman in the 5F, and the 23 car. Well, that's EB, isn't it?
And Bray Carey got way to the outside that last time, skidded up the racetrack, and John Freeman will take over that spot. John Freeman getting ready to celebrate a birthday tomorrow, and I think the day after tomorrow is his wife's birthday, so they'd like to have reason to celebrate. Right now he's got to pick up another spot or 2 if they want it to be a victory and combination birthday party.
Let's correct it. That's Bill Jarvis in the 23. Of course, we had 2 23s on our entry list. And Bray Carey way offline again. You saw it at the top of your screen. And I think Jarvis is going to get Freeman here. He's taking a beat on him. And he slipped in the turn, and that cost him quite a bit of time.
Of course, if you caught the action last week, I told you the odd thing about Freeman's car, that it features a complete in-car stereo, and he right now has moved up into the second point, and the leader has gotten away from everybody. Tim Bolton right now enjoying about a 15-car length advantage over our second-place car of Freeman. He's almost got a full turn advantage. Now we got one going the wrong way in traffic.
That's down in turn number 1, the 28 car. Clay Hare, part of the John Boy and Billy racing team. Clay totally destroyed that car last week, the number 28. There you see the 28 right there, the white car just in front of our leader. Totally destroyed that car. Barrel rolled it 3 times last Thursday. Rebuilt the car. He's back racing. That's the great thing about Legends cars. You take a look at that 28 car, you'd never know. It was upside down, rolling over, fiberglass flying everywhere just a few days ago.
You said that with such enthusiasm. Fiberglass flying everywhere. Here's Tim Peters and Ray Carey going at it for 4th place.
Tim Peters, when he settles down, is going to be a good racer. He is a real charger, but he's 14, and you know that going in. And you know it's going to take a little time to mature this young man. But he is in a great position, Doug. He's racing hard. He's racing with good drivers. He's in the semi-pro division already, and he's in a Legends car, so he can afford to get that maturing process without damaging too much money, too much car, too much of Tim Peters.
You see the black fender wells on the rear deck of both sides of the car there. That's because he knocked the original paint off last week. He lost the original fenders on the rear wheels last week. They bought some stock black ones and put it back on. But the whole Peters family makes up his pit crew there. They're all real enthused about this racing effort. They're decked out in complete uniforms, and it's a big family outing whenever they come out to the races.
That's Jimmy Signs that's been struggling, that 00 at the top of your screen. There he is. Jimmy sells Peterbilt trucks when he's not racing his Legends car. Sold a Corvette and bought a Legends car.
Of course, our leader, Tim Bolton, his occupation is Legends car service and repairs. So he might have a little extra advantage setting these things up to get out here. He helps other guys set up their cars.
Well, and Timmy Peters got a lesson there from the 44 car. Don't drift too wide.
Being passed once again, and it looks like the handle's just about disappeared on Timmy Peters as he's starting to drift back through the pack, and a lot of cars starting to make their way around Peters as his car has dramatically slowed up over the last few laps.
Including Hoyt Dennis in the Z98.3. Signs on the outside of him now, the 00. The 02 is Ronnie Austin in the 02. The 44 that went by already was Wayne Austin. 75 in the mix there. Chris LaFolt out of Kannapolis, North Carolina. Pretty good breeding ground for race car drivers out of Kannapolis, North Carolina.
A couple of good ones that have come out of Kannapolis over there.
Yeah.
One of them has a road named after him. They said Earnhardt Road is not named after Dale, but
yeah, right.
I may take dispute on that.
Yeah, who cares?
Tim Bolton working
Name the
up
city after me. You kidding me?
Tim Bolton working up through traffic into the inside of Freddie Lancaster there in the yellow 49. And John Freeman's moved back up and has closed in on our leader just a little bit. I think Mark Garrow's got a note on Freddie Lancaster. Mark?
Well, Freddie Lancaster's taken over this ride from his father, Buddy Lancaster. They call him Big Daddy. That's what's on the side of the car. Now, they may be a reason tonight why that car's lagging in the back. His father might have known something because on the back he has named the car Big Fat Fanny. Just can't get out of its own way. And now we see that Fanny heading in the wrong direction.
Battle for first and second.
We're just going to let that one lie there for a minute.
I ain't getting near it. I'm not getting near it.
Freeman closes down on Tim Bolton, pulls it in a single car length, and takes a peek to the inside, but wiggles just a hair off the floor.
John Freeman is doing a tremendous job in second place. I think he hit the disc changer. I think he changed tunes. He's feeling aggressive. He's motivated, as Bobby Labonte said. The battle for third. Look at Bray Carey on the outside. He tried that line earlier. It wasn't working. It's working now.
Jarvis to the inside, gets Bray Carey hung up on the outside, give Jarvis the spot as they cross back across the line.
Tip of the hat to Bray Carey, though, because that outside line is very, very treacherous, and he's keeping the car under control as we've got one around down in turn number 2, the 4 car. I think that's Aussie Babson, is it not?
That's the Babson racing machine.
That's a sharp-looking car, too.
They've got a rig that's worthy of most any car in the country when they bring it in here. It is decaled out and finished to the max.
Back up front. Freeman, rear end's not sticking together. 2 laps to go, John. Change the disc, find something aggressive. He's got to move now.
I think he just needs to push the fast forward button if he wants to close in here, but doesn't look like it's going to happen right now. Tim Bolton enjoys a 5-car length advantage over John Freeman as they take a peek at the white flag from flagman Roger Slack.
A 7th place finish last week for Bolton. A first here if he can hang on for half a lap more. He's in a great position to move up in the point standings. Ronnie Austin was the points leader coming into tonight. Coming to the checkered flag. The win goes to Bolton. Freeman takes second. Here's the battle back in the pack. The 23 takes it away for third. That goes to Bill Jarvis. Bray Carey will take home 4th to go along with his heat race win earlier. Well, the Legends Racing has been fast and furious. We've got 2 winners in the books, 3 races to go. Stay with us. Semi-Pro features history here tonight. Tim Bolton is the winner. He'll move up into the point. We're back at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Ralph Shaheen, Doug Rice, and Wrecker Boy roaming the pit road. And everything getting set when we get the victory circle ceremonies taken care of. We'll come back with Legends Car Racing with the Masters division. Here's the grid for the Masters class. Mike White, Tom Langston up on the front row.
Now, Tom is a guy that moved from Wisconsin to North Carolina just so he could go Legends Car Racing. Tells you a little bit about his devotion.
Daryl Jackson in the 65. You see him there. Jimmy Hines and Cotton Spry in row 3. Dave Price. Al Mitchell sits back there in row 4. Rainey Dakota, one of the original cars. Rainey's car has got autographs from Michael Waltrip, Laura Lane, and Ken Bouchard on the inside of the rear hood. That was the 21st car ever built, and it actually was built for Ernie Irvin. Now, he told you, as you take a look at the rest of the grid, there's some huge news breaking in the Legends car world.
How huge is it, Rob?
Oh, this is big. This is big news.
We're talking major scale.
Major scale news as you take a look at the Master Division point standings. I have been able to confirm today that renowned racing artist Sam Bass has purchased a Legends car, and him and his brother plan on campaigning their Legends car starting next Tuesday night, debuting right here in the Summer Legends Shootout Series. And I told Sam, you know you're under the gun because you have to have the best paint job. This is a guy that's designed the paint schemes for Robbie Gordon and Terry Labonte's Kellogg's car, and it's an endless list.
Darrell Waltrip's on the
Darrell's
17 car.
The MGD car. Green flag.
Spike White in the 7 silver car on the point. By the way, the second place car in points, Danny Bost, is not here. He is on a cruise, so he is going to surrender points this week in the Masters division, and that's probably going to allow Mike White to move up and maybe take the lead if he has a good showing here tonight. Danny Bost not in the field tonight.
There you see the 9 car, Al Mitchell, battling it out with the 10. That, I believe, is a 10H, the Husqvarna car. Roger Simons.
That's right, Roger Simons in the 10H, and there's a sister car to that one that's just the 10. They need to make that H just a little bit, though. Al Mitchell right in his tire tracks. Those they exit the turn.
Here's a look back up towards the front. That's the battle for second with the 19.
It's Tom Langston moved to the outside.
Howard Whitaker, that 19 car. No, you're right, Langston.
Daryl Jackson hung up on the outside in the 65. Langston with those fluorescent wheels on the point.
The 16 running hard from the backside, Cotton Spry. Salisbury, North Carolina driver.
I should know that. That's my hometown, but I don't know Cotton. Must live on the other side of the tracks. Salisbury's not that big, Ralph.
I was just thinking about which side of the tracks you probably came from, Doug.
Well, they burned that side down now.
I wouldn't doubt it. The 64 car moving up through the field. The 11J is one of the toughest competitors in this division, James Hines, and he's proving it again. James Hines is the points leader, and as you said, with Boss not here, James Hines gets a good finish. He's going big time in opening up that points lead.
So Hines wants to move up. He doesn't want to let Mike White get away from him if he can. And we've got one that loops around. I think that might be Punchy Whitaker in the 64.
You're right.
Last week's winner, and doesn't look like Punchy's going to get a return to victory lane here. Straighten it up, Punch. There you go. Now he's backing underway, okay.
Let's take a look at it again here, Doug. He cooked it down in there, I think, and might have touched with the 16, but it wasn't much if he did.
Looks like he might have overcooked it down into the turn just a hair and let it get away from him.
The spike, Mike White out front.
Mike last week finished third, and he said he had a brake caliper that was overheating, and he just had very little brakes, didn't want to get up there and fight for the lead and risk spinning out, so he settled for third last week. But Mike back with a vengeance this week. He had also just been out of the hospital for a couple of hours when they raced here last week. So
65 is having problems too. That's Daryl Jackson, and the yellow flag comes out. So the 65, Daryl Jackson, slows on the pit road, which is the backstretch here. There's the 6 car. That's Hank Jones. And Hank is works for Mark Martin, does the souvenirs for Mark Martin, which explains the paint scheme and the folks at the Sandwich Construction Company. Now, Hank is in a new video, and he's got himself a hot new nickname, and it's in the Brooks and Dunn video. He's real tight with Brooks and Dunn, who are real big into Legends car racing. And was it Big Daddy Cat?
Big Cat Daddy.
Big Cat Daddy, that's it.
There we go.
And I saw the video the other day, and boy, Hank's got a career in country music videos, I think.
You really think so?
Yeah,
Don't give up the day job.
No, he said the Legends car deal is great. NASCAR souvenir business is tremendous. But for Hank Jones, Big Cat Daddy is going into the country music video business. And he is the hot new star. He said he's already got 3 or 4 new videos lined up. They took him all the way out to L.A., did the big deal. Big deal, Mark Garrell, for Hank Jones.
And especially after he wrecked and totaled one of his cars during the heat race, and you talk about how serious this racing is, they didn't repair the other one. They rolled out a backup. Ready to go. Now we're back to green flag racing.
That's big time, isn't it? When he comes in the trailer,
he's in country music videos. They don't, those things are not cheap. Country music videos, you got Valvoline sponsorship. That's big.
I think, too, when your income is based on Mark Martin souvenir sales, that probably doesn't hurt either.
No.
You don't have to look too far in the stands to see somebody else wearing his T-shirts. Tom Langston back there in second place. Mike White on the point, pulling away. Mike, like we said earlier, Ralph, just out of the hospital last week, and he was under the weather, and his car wasn't up to snuff, but he's hooked up in familiar form here tonight.
Yeah, Mike White was feeling terrible, really under the weather. He got a third. Mike White. He's an animal. And he's over 40, don't forget. This is the Masters Division. You can't even get near this field unless you're over the age of 40. And look at the battle for second. One-handed.
Well, it's pretty casual, isn't it? Steering it left-handed there, and he's got a fierce battle on his hand. Tom Langston holding on to second place. James Hines filling up his rearview mirror. How much over 40, Mike White? 47.
You could qualify for this now, couldn't you?
Yes, I could. I
just wanted to make that point. I got a few years ago, yeah.
I'm hanging over the edge of the precipice. Actually, I've fallen down into the chasm, but that's okay.
Look at the battle for second place, and we've got cars spinning all over down in 2. As this battle comes off of 4, there's the 98 of Mickey Lawson, who'll bring out a caution. There's the 16 of Spry.
Cotton Spry up against the backstretch wall.
And none of this seems to be phasing Mike White. Mickey gets her rolling again. Charlotte native.
Mike's a pretty focused guy when he gets into that race car, and he's ready to rock and roll, and that's what it's all about. He won a ton of features last year.
I haven't heard anything about Lucky Charms on his car this year. Last year, remember, he had all any change that he found laying around in his pockets or whatever, or under a seat cushion, he would tape it to the side of the car. Here's you see the crash of Mickey Lawson sliding out of your frame. Oh, that's spry there, and Lawson's already off, I think, below that. Looks like the whole rear end collapsed on that car.
You can see that fiberglass come down and rub against the tires there.
You know who's a big viewer of the Summer Legends Shootout Series?
I know Jeff Gordon was last year.
Jeff Gordon's a huge fanatic of this stuff, but you know who's another one? Somebody Jeff Gordon knows real well, has a bunch of his money too. Tony George, president of Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He's a big fan of the Summer Legends Shootout Series. Watched it all last week, called the Speedway. We think maybe, if he can work his schedule out, he might come racing with us.
Come on down.
Coy Gibbs is racing with us, isn't he, Mark?
He certainly is. He starts inside row number 2 in the final feature event of the evening. Had a pretty good run last week, but appears your car's running better this time around.
Yeah, I think we straightened out. David Wagner helps me out a lot. A guy back works in my dad's shop. He's taught me a lot about the cars, so I think we'll be running pretty good.
All right, you start inside row 2. It looks like you have a good shot at this thing.
Yeah, I like starting inside, full better than hanging on the outside. So all those is great. I'll see how far we can go.
Coy Gibbs getting ready to go, and an old Dale Jarrett Interstate Battery Chevrolet uniform, as we mentioned last week. We're getting back to green, guys.
Green flag is out. 12 laps to go. Good battle for second.
Tom Langston will hold off Hines. Mike White says, you guys battle for second. I'll take care of business on the point here. Somehow he has his car geared up. He can pull off the turns so much quicker. He does such a great job of transferring the power down to the wheels, and he doesn't spin at all or slip. It really pulls this car off the turns.
It's in and out of the turns that is the keys. We've got another one around down
It's
to
Al
turn
Mitchell,
1.
I think.
Yeah, sure is. He fired it up. He'll get it rolling. If you're interested in driving one of these Legends cars, there is a Legends car driving school here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway as well, and you can call 600 Racing. They can get you up to speed on that if you want to learn how to do battle like these two. Langston able to fend him off again.
Now, you wouldn't want to get in there and battle in maybe this division. I want to go into the Chargers division. That's our one that's coming up the next time around, and see what those guys have got up their sleeves. But James Hines out of China Grove, all over Tom Langston.
Got him. He hit him just hard enough with that bumper, forced him off the line, and that's all it took. And that's a big move for James Hines, because every position he picks up tonight is one more giant step in the point standings, because Danny Bost is not here tonight. Langston was 6th last week, so a third here is a great finish for him. Here comes Randy Dakota now in the 14X.
That's one of only, I think, 2 metal-bodied cars. Now, if you're just starting to watch Legends car racing, the first couple of hundred they made were all metal bodies, and they used to pop rivets to hold them together. Now they're all fiberglass, a lot easier to repair, a lot cheaper to repair. Cosmetically, probably look a little better, too.
Here's the pass. See him tap. Got him loose, laid off of him, dove to the inside. Easy on the throttle, you're a leader.
Textbook Legend car racing. Page 27.
I was talking to Jimmy Sides this afternoon about the metal body cars, and he says there's actually more headroom if you run the metal bodies as opposed to the fiberglass bodies. And Jimmy's a huge man. He's probably 6'4", 200 and change, and every inch or quarter of an inch makes a big difference for him. He says it's also cheaper to reskin the car with the metal body than it is the fiberglass body. And in a battle for third, you don't want to have to worry about saving equipment. So right now, Randy Dakota, cheaper body or not, he's hammering at it with Tom Langston.
Oh, Rene Dakota stuck his nose up in there, and you saw that car kind of chatter around the turn last time, and he just couldn't make it stick, and he'll wiggle it hard and go to the inside of Langston this time by.
One of the keys is braking in a straight line. As you watch the leaders, you'll see that most of the guys want to complete their braking by the time they get to the turn, turn it in and get on the gas where you think you can.
I think Mike White may have heated up his tires here, Ralph. Let's see if he can nurse this thing home for a victory, or if James Hines is going to pull it out.
How big big would it be for James Hines to win here tonight? It would be huge in the point standings. But you know Mike White, he's as tough as they come. A third place right out of the hospital last week, feeling better this week. He's going to go for the win.
We'll come back by just a
White
lap to go this time by White by a single car length. Hines will get 2 more cracks at him going into this turn and then coming.
Oh, he's going to the inside. They're going to get together before they get to 3. Horsepower advantage goes to Mike White. Now, can he get a break? They go sliding out of turns 3 and 4. He runs him high. Mike White wins it sideways.
Going backwards across the start-finish line, Mike White wins it, and we have got Renee Dakota, I believe, tangling with Tom Langston. That was a little reminiscent of Kyle Petty and Davey Allison in the Winston a few years ago when Davey crashed as soon as he won the race and never got to make it to victory lane. I don't think that same fate's going to behold Mike White. I don't think I've ever seen anybody win going backwards, Ralph.
Here it is again, coming out of turn number 2, down the back straightaway into 3. They get together. Hines taps him, knocks him off the line. He gathers it back up, and Hines does just what he knows he needs to do and run him high, make him get out of the throttle. He doesn't. They get together. He goes sideways, and he backs her across to take the checkered. We told you, Mike the Spike, and he got it. Now, look at the battle for third. Langston and Dakota. Dakota in the 14. Hank Jones. And they get together. Langston dove to the inside to avoid Hank Jones, who was slowing, coming to the checkers. Dakota goes around.
Ralph's seen a lot of races, and I've imagined seeing a race won backwards, but this is actually the first time I've ever realized that he was looking totally the other way when he crossed the start-finish line. The back bumper got there first. So Mike White, you said he was determined last week, hours out of the hospital, and he ran for third. You let him heal up for a week. He's really tough.
And you saw it live on the Summer Legends Shootout Series, as always, on Sports South. Fifth place Dave Price in the 10R is the only driver on your screen who did not come across the line sideways, upside down, backwards with smoke and fiberglass flying off of his race car. Look at this. This was the battle for the lead. Your winner comes across the line sideways, James Hines. In second, Mike White, the winner. And in third place, the top of your screen, look at Renee Dakota and Tom Langston. We're back live at the Charlotte Motor Speedway on Sports South. Ralph Shaheen, Doug Rice, and Record Boy Mark Garrow with you. The Charger Division cars are rolling on for their 20-lap feature. Stuart Wheeler and Ricky Hendrick, son of Rick Hendrick, the Winston Cup car owner. Coy Gibbs, son of Winston Cup car owner Joe Gibbs. And Marcus Smith, son of some guy who owns about every other racetrack in the country, Bruton Smith. A lot of sons.
Well, the last time I looked, I think Bruton owned a piece of about 5, but that was 4 or 5 hours ago, so it could have all changed.
John Boy! Yes, he does race Legends cars.
He's here tonight. Actually, we've got 3 racing radio announcers in this one particular feature tonight. John Boy, of course, of the John Boy and Billy Radio Network. Jeff Kent of WRFX. He's their midday guy on the local classic station. And, of course, Paul Shad, a morning guy on WSOC FM 103 here in Charlotte. So 3 well-known air personalities, Battle of the Airways, inside all of this action in the Chargers division tonight.
So we got the battle of the kids and the battle of the DJs.
We got them all.
Green flag, we're racing. The 14 is your leader, John Sossaman. And the 47 having a really tough time. Oh, we got them all over the place down in 1 and 2.
Had a lot of cars
Shad
back up there. Paul Shad made it through. Jeff Kent also slipped through there. We only lost 1 in that whole melee there.
There you see the 96 car. That's Tom Fishstone's entry, but that car is being driven tonight by Ron Kennerly, whose grandfather actually owned the Yellow Cab Company here in Charlotte. That's why he has the car painted up that way. There you see it, the 96.
And Coy Gibbs going to make a move to the inside. Challenge for the lead down the backstretch. Sticks it in there. Can't make it go this time.
Coy said he's been working on getting a better handle of that car, and it seems to be working here tonight. The number 1 car battling it in there with him, Ricky Hendrick. So the car owner sons having at it.
Going at it up front where it really counts for second and third. Right now they're running behind John Sossaman, who's on the point.
Boy, putting the bumper to Sossaman.
Of course, this is the Chargers division where you sort of cut your teeth and find out just how good you are in a Legends car.
Coy Gibbs to the outside. Can he make it stick? Boy, that's a tough way around in one of these Legends cars. If you can get the move and the position on the outside, you've earned it.
That's what was so remarkable about Mike White winning that last race, Ralph. He hung on from the outside, rallied off the 4th turn. The leader, John Sossaman, big-time deer hunter, outdoorsman, sportsman guy, and also loves his Legends car racing.
Take that Stuart Wheeler, of course, our grid sheet not matching up with the names of those in the car. If you're a regular viewer of our Legends car racing, you'll accept that like the rest of us.
So Wheeler in the 14, not Sossaman, coming up to lap the Jeff Kent car, moves out of the way, lets them slide by. Wheeler on the point, Gibbs in second.
There's John Boy.
Take it down in the turn, nice easy ride around.
Nice helmet, Johnny.
Saw that the wheel a little bit coming off the turn, but had a pretty good line.
Johnny getting a little air time. To the outside, Coy Gibbs not going to give up that line. He's got to find a way to the inside, Doug. He's got to get to the inside. The outside is not going to do it.
I don't think Wheeler will surrender that outside in the Ocean Spray car if he can help it. He'll make him have to work to the outside. You got Ricky Hendrick laying in the weeds back there in 3rd place, waiting for one of these guys to slip.
Well, and that's a smart move by Ricky Hendrick. He shows patience and maturity, because if anybody slips like we just saw out of the 14, Coy might have a shot now.
If he can stick off the turn, that's the key.
If these two go too wide, Ricky's right there to capitalize. We haven't talked about points because there are no points kept in the Charger division. You're supposed to just learn, not race for points. Lap traffic can come into play here, and that's what's next for these leaders. The 28 car should be Perry Smith, 28P, and Ricky Hendrick picks up second as Coy Gibbs gets hung up.
Lap traffic played the factor there, just like you were predicting, Ralph, and now it's going to be key to whether Stuart Wheeler can hold off the charge of Ricky Hendrick. 3 wide into turn 3. Ricky Hendrick on the outside, Wheeler down on the inside.
And Justin Snow getting a great view in the 7S. Boy, Ricky Hendrick, nice bit of driving this week.
You go 3 wide with any kind of race cars and come out of the turns with all of them in one piece. That's pretty remarkable.
Remember, those wheels stick out some 6-8 inches away from the fenders, so you can get together and get airborne real quick. Coy Gibbs still digging back there in 3rd as he comes up to the inside.
Ricky Hendrick, no shortage of sponsors on that car. He's got DuPont, No Fear, Sea-Doo, Valvoline, Hendrick Motorsports. I don't think there's room for any other stickers.
He's going to try that outside line. What a great battle for the lead. 3 cars going at it here live on Sports South of the Charlotte Motor Speedway. This is round 2 as Coy Gibbs takes over 2nd place of the Summer Legends Shootout Series. Every Tuesday for 10 Tuesdays in a row. We'll be bringing it all to you live. And there's the coach. Think he's into this?
Youngest son, Coy, is in the 01 car that currently rides in 2nd place. They slip around Paul Shad and battle for the lead going back into 3. Ricky Hendrick right back there. He made a run at him, Ralph, and I think he may have heated up his tires. Have to go back and try it one more time.
They run BF Goodrich Comptier street tires.
Now, this is a treaded tire, not a slick tire like you'd see on a NASCAR Winston Cup car.
Boy, he's not real quick to go that outside line anymore, is he? He's waiting to see if he can get to the bottom. That is the better way to get around him.
You saw the insert there of Joe Gibbs watching Coy. Rick Hendrick's also here,
that's going to hurt you, Coy. Dad liked it, though. It looked cool.
I don't know if you like that particular view of his son sliding through the turn. Got to be happy, though. Coy doing a good job tonight. The leader, Stuart Wheeler, not doing too shabby either.
You know, we're so busy talking about what a great job these guys are doing hounding Stewart. We're not talking about what a great job Stewart is doing defending these guys. He's keeping his head. He's looking ahead. The white flag comes out. Stuart Wheeler, one more lap to go. Lap traffic in the way. This is going to be great.
Let's see if Stewart can do it this time, if he can hold off the charge. Coy's tried him on the outside a couple of times. That's not where he'll have to make the pass.
If I was Stewart, I'd pace him through there. Let these guys block them for you. That's what he does. Stuart Wheeler wins the Charger Division race at round number 2 of the Summer Legends Shootout Series. Coy Gibbs comes home in second. And unofficially, Ricky Hendrick, I believe, Doug, held on to third. We'll have to check the official rundown when we come back. Here's another look at the finish as they came into turns 3 and 4. Lap traffic in front of him, and Stewart paced his way through.
Stuart Wheeler's got somebody on the outside blocking that outside lane. No place for Coy Gibbs to make the move. He'll settle for second. Ricky Hendrick did get the third place as they'll cross the line here. Hendrick was in position to pick up the third place position, so some high profile talent up front tonight. Stuart Wheeler the winner, and of course Ricky Hendrick, son of Rick Hendrick in third, and Coy Gibbs, son of Joe Gibbs in second.
Well, there's plenty more coming at you from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Stay where you are. We'll be back with more right here on Sports Out. The Charger feature is the last race of the night, and it is completed here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Stuart Wheeler, Coy Gibbs, and Ricky Hendrick putting on a tremendous show for the top spot. Here's the way it looked as they came off of turn number 4 on that last lap. Coy in the 01 car doing everything he could to get around Stuart Wheeler. Lap traffic got in the way. No room on the high side. Stuart Wheeler gets the win.
Coy never laid the bumper to him the last couple of laps. He raced him good and clean. Let's go down to Mark Garrow. He's caught up with the winner.
Well, the Charger division is supposed to be the rookies, the guys with the least experience. These guys down here that finished first, second, and third, Stuart Wheeler, Coy, Ricky Hendrick, you guys didn't look like rookies out there. That's as tough as it gets.
That felt like a Winston Cup race. Those guys just beating down my door. They gave me a clean race. They raced hard, and we're gonna get up there with the pros. I just want to thank Ocean Spray for giving me a beautiful car, Mike Hope from Tropics for making it look great, and then Sonny and Bob and Scotty for setting it up.
Now, you locked yourself to that inside groove. I guess you said to yourself, if I'm going to lose, they're going to have to go around me. I mean, you guarded that thing like it was Fort Knox.
I've raced with both these guys before, and I know that if I give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. So that groove was mine, and I wasn't afraid to stick my nose down in it because I knew they were going to race me clean, and it's guys like these that make racing fun.
Coy Gibbs, who was the second place finisher. Ricky Hendrick is right here with him. Guys, you guys were flip-flopping that second spot back and forth. He'd trap you in traffic, you took him back.
Yeah, we kept getting stuck in traffic out there. Old Stewart wouldn't give up his line, so it was a fun race. We're all going home with the cars intact, so it's exciting.
Did you think you had a shot? You got up beside him one time going into the turn. You got side by side, and then that, I guess that outside lane just gave way.
Yeah, I don't have patience yet. I wanted to push it right up in there. I should have sat there with him for about 10 laps. Worn old Stewart out, but I couldn't sit there. I got excited.
Ricky Hendrick, you saw Coy take a shot at him on the outside. You trapped him in traffic to move up to number 2. You tried the same move. Did you feel like you had a shot there as well?
I was hoping so, but Coy's just too good for me, so I didn't have a cut. I wasn't the driver to get up there and do it for him, so.
About the outside pass with the leader here. You tried the same thing. It looked like you watched what he did and said, well, maybe I can one-up him here and do it a little bit better, but couldn't make it pay off either.
Yeah, I thought if Coy could do it, I may be able to pull it off too, but just couldn't do it. But Hendrick Motorsports is a good car, you know. They did it last week and they did it this week. You know, if it weren't for last week, I think we would have been up there too. But you know, I also want to thank DuPont No Fear, but Hendrick Motorsports did a great job.
Ricky Hendrick learns his lessons well. Last week we were on TV. Just before we went on, his dad said, put your uniform on and zip it up so they can see the sponsor. This time he didn't have to tell him. Stuart Wheeler, congratulations for the win. And Coy Gibbs and Ricky Hendrick, a tremendous race. They must have fed these guys a big bowl of Wheaties this morning, guys.
Thank you, Mark. We'll be back for more from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And stay with us. We're coming back. Round 2's done. Tonight's best move is brought to you by Gatorade, and this was a no-brainer. This was what it looked like as they came off at turn number 2, the final lap of the Masters Division race. That's Mike Weick in the 7, James Hines in the 11J. Now it gets real hot. Down into turn 3. Hines bumps him. You'll see Weick drift high. The car gets a little loose as he goes over one of the rumble strips that was knocked free. And now as they come off the 4th turn, Hines runs him right to the wall. No room there. Mike stays in the throttle. Backwards, you got a winner in the Masters Division.
Easy to call that one, the Gatorade thirst-quenching move of the night, as Mike Weick slides backwards across the start-finish line underneath the checkered flag.
And somebody who probably needs a lot of Gatorade to quench down all the food he was probably eating while he was racing. We're back to do it again. Street Stocks Home Depot Challenge. Kenny Walls is here. We're still looking for somebody who's man enough to challenge him.
I think
Could
Ralph
be you.
Shaheen.
Could be you. There was the battle for 3rd in the Masters Division. Randy Dakota gets it. For Mark Garrow, Doug Rice, and Wrecker Boy, I'm Ralph Shaheen. See you next Tuesday, live on Sports South.
Night for racing here in the Carolinas as we get set for round number 3 of the Summer Legends Shootout Series. Hello everybody, I'm Ralph Shaheen and welcome to the Charlotte Motor Speedway. We're set for a great night of racing here tonight, but you should have been with us last week because it was absolutely incredible.
You got to appreciate a company that'll step up and say, yeah, we'll go to bat for you on a Legends car. Well, they probably paid for the whole ad budget right there.
Shows you how big this little thing is getting.
A lot of guys that are running very, very early in their careers here, and several people that this is their first race tonight.
There's a 90 back there, Dickerson, the guy who's been upside down more than he's been right side up this season.
And right behind him, Marcus Smith in the Burger King machine. As they parade by, Corey Gibbs in the 01 machine.
I like the taxi.
There's a car right here. There's one of them with a special designation of .08.
Yes.
And that is, of course, that is the legal limit for alcoholic consumption and being able to drive in North Carolina. If you get caught with more than a .08, you're in serious trouble. And she said her and her husband got together, and he said, I'll drive the car, and you're the designated driver of the Legends car.
That's Francis Rosser out of Sanford, North Carolina. That's a good story. Green flag.
She said, make sure to tell everybody, neither one of us have gotten a DUI.
Well, she's driving under the influence of a Legends car right now as we're back to green down the backstretch. And here comes Ricky Hendrick. That's the battle for 4th as he slides inside of DeBrule. Ricky Hendrick, I'm sorry, Doug, is really turning out to be a pretty good racer.
We've seen him, well, he sure has the bloodline for it, but we've actually seen him perform out here at a very high level, and he's got a super car underneath him. You can see it for all the sponsors.
Whoa.
I believe that's Jeff Kent that turned it around there in front of traffic.
Another one of the DJs from WRFX here in Charlotte. Bragging rights for John Boy on that one. And DeBrule goes around.
So DeBrule for the second time tonight faces traffic sideways. And we've got another car that's off in the grass. David Sharp wound up in the infield.
Here's Jeff Kent going around. He tried to get it going and got it into the grass, and that's a tough way to straighten it out because you just put all that horsepower right down into the dirt like that, and it's going to send you right around.
So Jeff spins his Food Line car around and says, you know, this is a little bit tougher than sitting behind the microphone after.
DeBrule dipped a wheel and he went around. It looks like Dave Sharp in the 47 was involved there with him, like you said. And there's Dave.
Lonesome look, isn't it? When you're sitting in the infield watching everybody drive by, that's a pretty lonesome feeling.
Really nicely prepared car. Actually, I believe that might be Jeff Turner. It is Jeff Turner's 47. We'll be back for more when we get everything straightened out. right here on Sports South. Speedway, the Summer Legend Shootout Series is well underway. Ralph Shaheen, Doug Rice, and Mark Arrow along with Tasmanian Devil. Hey, where's Record Boy?
I think he'll make his appearance tonight after the Home Depot Challenge. I believe that's when he's scheduled to show up.
You know, we've got some really frustrating news in the Legends Series. When we get done with this racer, we'll have to update you on some breaking news here in the series. We'll get back to it in just a minute as we go back to green.
Tom Pistone, the third, on the point.
Johnny, get on the gas, boy. John Boy Isley struggling, Doug.
His car doesn't look like it's handling that well. Looks like he might have a little bit of a push condition here.
A lot of weight shifting around in that car. Here's the 5 and 1 battling for fourth. Ricky Hendrick in the 1 car. In the 5 of Gordon Rayleigh. Oh, we go around to the 21. Look out to Brule. Oh, boy, that was close.
That's John Smith turns sideways to the traffic on the backstretch here.
To the yellow. Coy Gibbs in the 01 moving into second place. And Coy is real coming on strong.
Coy Gibbs, good driver. We saw him last week, you know, when the coach was over here watching his young son go at it. Put on quite a driving exhibition.
Yeah. Boy, you don't want to be sitting sideways looking upstream in one of these things.
Yeah, I bet his stomach tightened up a little bit there, but everybody did a good job of avoiding him there.
Here's
last year, that wouldn't have happened. I think last year these guys, as green as they are, would have plowed right into it.
That's what scares you when it kicks back on you like that. That's where he almost got hit. DeBrule, hoping he could squeeze it through that pinhole, and he was able to come through.
Drives on, gets away pretty clean. So we've already had about 3 caution flags here just in the first opening laps of tonight's Charger feature.
Up the backstretch now, which is reverse way down the pit road here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Ricky Hendrick in the red number 1. On the outside there is Gordon Rayleigh. In 5, the blue and white car. Ricky Hendrick white on his bumper. Gets a better line going off of turn 2.
Bob Ward, the crew chief on that number 1, has really done a nice job of setting up a good neutral handling race car. Coy Gibbs trying to find some inside space on that yellow cab.
And of course, if you're new and this is your first Legends race, Coy Gibbs, the youngest son of Joe Gibbs, the owner of the Interstate Batteries team, and Ricky Hendrick, who is right behind him, the youngest son of car owner Rick Hendrick.
Tommy fighting pretty hard in that yellow cab. Coy got looking to the outside there to protect that outside line. I thought he was going to have somebody sneak up the inside, and Coy Gibbs is off.
That car just about expired on the backstretch. I don't know if Gibbs is going to be able to nurse it back around or not.
Oh, boy, he did a nice job of getting out of the way of everybody. There's Marcus Smith about to get lapped. Leader slides through.
Tommy Pistone, the third, slides around, the grandson of Tiger Tom Pistone, a guy that won a couple of Winston Cup races in his career.
College student when he's not behind the wheel of his Legends car. DeBrule's still hanging in there in the 10R.
He's got a good opportunity right now, Ralph. He's already got some lap traffic between himself and the second place car of Ricky Hendrick. Now Hendrick's cleared the lap traffic as they sweep by Jeff Kent again. This is only Jeff's third race, so we're not going to be too rough on him.
This is really getting to be a pretty good battle, and right now, Doug, what we've seen out of these two drivers over the course of the season, I really wouldn't give an edge to either one of them. They're both very competitive drivers, and I think this one is going to come right down to the wire.
We've got all 3 of these guys battling for the lead here. Ricky Hendrick's car is holding better down low. I think he's really got a distinct advantage if he can ever get past him. There's Randy DeBrule hanging on to third.
Guess what? Ricky Hendrick, your leader. Pistone at the wheel. I thought he was going to lose control of it there for a minute. He's fighting to hold on to second.
I think Tommy's car is going away from him a little bit, Ralph. Looks like he might have heated up the tires.
Here's a look at the pass for the lead. Ricky Hendrick Hendrick, nice smooth pass on the inside. Here he is, your leader with the yellow flag out. You want to know why? The black car in the middle, John Boy Isley.
I saw John Boy and Marcus Smith and Dickerson all involved down here.
There's Coy Gibbs sitting frustrated in the infield. His night is over.
Now Coy he was already out of competition. Looks like John Boy's car is sitting a little off there, looking a little low on the left side, like he might have gotten tangled up with somebody else. Frustrating way to end after starting on the outside pole.
And there's Coy getting out of his car. A white helmet tonight. He wore that Carolina Panthers paint scheme on his helmet last week.
I believe if I was winning with a helmet, I'd keep it on.
Yeah, I think you're right.
A little frustration showing on his face there. A lot more years to race, Coy.
Well, Mark Garrow's been working pit road. What do you got for us now, Mark?
Well, sitting calmly in his car is Billy Gomez Jr. waiting on the next feature event. That is for the semi-pros. He's got a little bit of a good luck charm. His nieces, Heather and Melissa, 6 and 11, they've got a sign in here that says, "Good luck, go, go, go." So are you going to follow their instructions?
Hey, all the way. I'm going to need to go a lot of going right now to get up to the front.
Now, did they do this without you asking, or is this something they brought to you?
That's something they brought to me. Last year, it started from last year. Yeah, here at the Summer Shootout.
How good a luck has it been?
Well, we finished up 6th last year in the points, so we're going to try to do it again. It'll get a little better.
All right, Heather and Melissa, he's taking your advice tonight. He's going to go, go, go. Here, guys.
Well, I guess we'll go too then, huh?
Not quite yet.
We're about to go back to green with, I think, 2 laps remaining.
Ricky Hendrick on the point. DeBrule riding in second, third. Tommy Pistone the third.
DeBrule tried to reel up on the backside, but Ricky Hendrick played it nice. Good start in the 1 car.
Hendrick really has his car working well at the ends of the speedway. Gets through the turns very nicely, and that's a huge advantage since about half of this racetrack is turns.
You can see his wheels are straight all the way around. You watch the front wheels of the other cars, those drivers turning them to fight a bush or to fight an oversteer problem. Look how nicely that car comes off the turns. And in the last couple of corners, Ricky Hendrick trying to fight off Randy DeBrule. Pistone to the inside. Ricky Hendrick picks up the win. DeBrule comes home in second. Great finish to the Charger division. We'll talk to Ricky Hendrick when we come back on Sports South.
Welcome back to the Charlotte Motor Speedway as we have continuing coverage of the Summer Legends Shootout. The semi-pros are about ready to take the racetrack, but right now we get a chance to step into victory lane for the Charger division. 15-year-old Ricky Hendrick, you got your first win. You earned it the hard way.
Yeah. Hendrick Motorsports sent me with a good car last Tuesday night. They sent me with a good car this Tuesday night. I just kept it out front, you know. It was a good, clean race, you know. Nobody got hurt. That was good. And DuPont, I lost like thinking DuPont no fear. But it's 8th race, first win.
Now, during one of the restarts early on in the race, you dropped back 2 or 3 positions. Did you think at that point that was going to cost you the victory?
Yeah, I thought it was over then. I also did that at Concord a couple weeks ago. It just didn't want to go into 3rd, so I panicked, but I finally got in there.
Now, Ricky's mom was atop the trailer watching this race. She nearly jumped off the top at the checkered flag as Ricky gets his first win in the Charge division. Let's head back upstairs for the semi-pro feature.
Thanks, Mark. Here's the top 5 out of the Chargers feature, the way they officially crossed the line. Chuck Orr coming home in 5th place, round out the top 5. The semi-pro cars are now rolling off, and here's a look at the starting grid, their feature race.
John Freeman going to start on the pole tonight in the F5 car. Of course, our often documented Legends car driver with the stereo aboard.
Jimmy Sainz in the 00 with one of the original metal-bodied cars. Ryan Stanley, brother of former open-wheel star Robbie Stanley. Freddie Lancaster back there in row 6 as you take a look through the rest of the field. Ray Carey in the 13 with Billy Gomez Jr. back in row 7 all the way through to row 10. See Jim Ward back there and Tam Tapham back there. And rounding out the field. And point standings now for the semi-pro division. Ronnie Austin having a pretty good season, but Bill Jarvis is right on his tail.
Spicer fourth in points, but I don't think he's even here tonight.
This is one car we've really been keeping an eye on in this class here, Doug. It's one of the prettiest Legends cars I think we have.
Timothy Peters,
14 years old. Green flag is out.
He's 14, Ralph, and he looks every bit of it.
He drives like he's a little bit older. Pretty aggressive young man. Jimmy Sides, that double zero. And Ronnie Austin, he's going to go right down in the grass and collect sides. Boom, stacking them up in turns 3 and 4.
Well, they got a road traffic jam here as the 23 car of Bill Jarvis is backed up behind him, and John Pasquarelli is the third car in line there.
That would be the 7P of Pasquarelli. Here's a look at it. See Austin in the grass.
You think Austin might have seen that Dale Earnhardt pass in the grass video one time too many?
I guess the game here tonight is to see how many remembrances of the Winston we can bring up as we watch highlights.
That's
okay.
2.
That's 2. I'm sure we can come up with a few more.
Well, now, Ernie Irvin tried to pass in the grass 2 years ago, and he
It
said,
didn't work out well,
he realized as soon as the first wheel went off in the grass, that was a mistake.
Yeah. It's all 4 or nothing.
Well, Ronnie had 2 over there and 2 on the pavement, and he got catty-cornered in the turn and collected sides.
There's a look at Ronnie. We were telling you about some very frustrating news breaking in the Legends Racing Series. You might remember last week we told you about renowned motorsports artist Sam Bass was going to be debuting his new car here this Tuesday night that he will be racing with his brother Rick. Sam called today and said that that debut is being put off until next week's 4th of July race, which will be live here on Sports South. They have not gotten things ready just yet as you look at Tim Peters, but Sam said he did go to the driving school here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and he clocked in at 158 miles an hour, he says.
That's scary.
I think he's cheating.
Sam's also quite a guitarist and a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
I mean, he's multi-talented besides being one of the best motorsports artists in the world.
Now this I don't understand. Jimmy Sainz gets sent to the back. He was the recipient of the damage, not the inflictor.
Yeah, he was definitely the innocent victim here, unless his car is just not running up to snuff. As I don't think Jimmy quite, he's appealing. We'll see if the court's going to rule in his favor or not.
Well, I would too. Hate that for you, Jimmy. Sells Peterbilt trucks when he's not racing a Legends car.
That's opposite ends of the spectrum.
Boy, ever. 25 laps to go. We're just getting started with these guys.
John Freeman off and running. You know, I've been thinking about that stereo list of songs that he might have in there. Good road songs.
Oh, a little contact there. The 44 and the 5. The blue 44, that's Wayne Austin, and the 5 is Keith Hawkins. Yeah, go ahead.
I think Van Halen's Panama. What do you think?
That'd be good. Doesn't exactly have a road.
No, but that's a driving tune.
Oh, it's definitely a driving tune. Austin driving pretty well in that 44.
He's got the short, fat fanny car behind him.
Okay.
That's what it says on the back.
I can't wait to hear you try to relate that to a Winston recap.
I don't think I'll do that. I don't think there's anything that's happened in Winston Cup racing that I can relate to short, fat fanny.
That's the battle for 3rd place right there. The 75 car is Chris LaFolt out of Kannapolis, North Carolina, using his bumper.
Comes up and taps Ryan just a little bit, but Ryan keeps a good straight line.
Hammering on him, isn't he? That's the battle up front.
John Freeman on the point. Hoyt right behind him.
Hoyt Dennis out of Archdale, North Carolina. Sliding that rear end around.
Hoyt Dennis in the Z98.3 car. And John Freeman, the 5F machine.
Freeman's company also did the work on Lugnut stereo in his car. I heard Lugnut got the better sounding system.
That is not a bad system for a Legends car.
Here's a battle for 3rd as we continue to watch that one. Right up on Stanley.
Ryan Stanley holds his line good and clean there. And that's about 3 times that Chris LaFontain's taken a shot at him but hasn't been able to turn him around.
Yeah, well, guess what? 4 and 5 probably aren't too far off in the distance. Oh, he got him hard there, didn't he?
That one did the trick.
Let's see if Ryan repays the favor. This is the battle for third that we're watching. Here's the replay of the bump. Got it just enough.
That's about legal though. Come up, tap it. He wiggles a little bit, dive under him.
Battle for the lead.
Of course, the person that happens to, Ryan might not quite go along with it that way. Hoyt Demas and John Freeman on the point. Looking back at Ryan Stanley being pursued here.
Ray Carey in that dark green car trying to move to the inside of the 44 of Austin. Ray's got the inside line. That's the battle for 6th.
That's a good-looking car.
Lots of close racing down there on those rumble strips. You saw the left side of the car getting up in the air.
Carey made the pass, good and clean there on Wayne Austin. Got right around him now. He's got to go up and do battle with Keith Hawkins.
Bill Jarvis trying to follow Ray through the field in that black 23.
I believe that's John Pasquarella.
The 7P, yeah.
That's a couple of times John's been off the course.
Battle for the lead is a good one.
John Freeman. Hoyt Demas rides in second. Hoyt starting to reel him in now, up within a single car length.
Now back to the bumping. See what John can do when somebody's pounding on his fender.
Just keep it going in the straight line. It's your best bet. Hoyt's going to probably tap him a couple more times here, so John will have to hold off the charge.
Theme song from Rocky when you're getting pounded on might work. Battle for 4th.
That's the 44 of Ryan Stanley being pressed hard there by
Jarvis and Bray Carey. And Jarvis has gotten around Carey. Here's the battle for the lead. Boy, we got action all over the place.
So Hoyt Demas trying to work to the inside now.
He didn't hit him that time. John just drifted up, and that's all it took.
One little opening, and Hoyt Demas dives to the point. John Freeman settles back to second. And I think he's going to be challenged for that spot here pretty soon.
5 of the scheduled 25 laps remaining in this semi-pro race as Freeman really is struggling now to keep control of the car.
Lost the handle a little bit on the car has John Freeman. He's going to have to work to hold on to that second place spot.
Coming off the turn where John is having trouble. There's your battle for 4th. Stanley and Jarvis really going at it.
Those two have been locked up on the racetrack now for about the last dozen laps. Jarvis just can't get Stanley up out of the groove to make the pass on him, although it looks like Jarvis's car is driving better down a groove.
2 to go. Slower traffic, 70 mile. Actually, it's Chris LaFote out in front of him there, who's not exactly running all that slow here tonight.
Almost 3 wide there as Bray Carey sticks his nose in there, tries to get around the Jarvis machine.
1 to go. There's your leader stuck behind slower traffic. There's Freeman. He might be able to close in, but I don't think he's going to get him as he hangs it out. Checkered flag falls. Hoyt Demas wins it. Freeman is second in the battle for 3rd to the line. Looks like, well, actually the battle for 4th it would have been, the 23 at Jarvis.
So Jarvis picks up that spot. Hoyt Demas.
We'll be back for more from Charlotte right after this. It's dark here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and it's time for our Pro Division racing. Tonight's Pro Division starting grid is brought to you by Kendall Motor Oil. Ryan Sockwell has been the guy in the Pro Division who has really been making tons of noise. As you look at the rest of the grid, Chuck Raffar and David Wagner back in row 2. G.E. Chapman, been waiting to hear some stuff out of him. Usually one of the big name drivers back in row 4. As we work our way through the rest of the grid, Barry Graham, real strong last week, then not able to finish as well as he was running early on. And John Crow, wearing that number 1 for a reason. He'll be a guy on the charts in the back of the grid from row 7. Here's a look at the Pro Division points. Sockwell, you see him right up top. G.E. Chapman right there with him. John Crow, Chuck Grafar, and Doug Vandenbrink all in the middle of this points chase.
And we get a good look at Brian Sockwell. He had brought 2 cars out today, a black one and a blue one. He has elected to campaign the black one, and he wanted to make sure we said hello to his wife, Janet, back in Greensboro tonight. She was in an automobile accident yesterday, got shooken up. She's okay, but Brian assured us that the entire Sockwell clan, and that's about half the population of Greensboro, will be at home watching the show tonight on Sports South. So, Janet, get well soon. We want to see you and the family back up here and being part of that enormous cheering section that he always brings along.
I was talking to him earlier today, and I asked him what was the difference. I said, you ran well semi-pro last year, but you know, here you are in the Pro Division. You're just as fast as you ever were. He says, I don't know. He says, and I'm very unhappy with the way the car is performing right now.
Yeah, it's
hard
a piece of junk. It's on the pole.
John Crow driving the 1 car of Ricky Hendrick. What's up with that, Mark Garrow?
Well, earlier in the heat race, John Crow was running away and the engine let go. They didn't have a backup, nor could they, if they had one, put it in time. So Rick Hendrick was good enough to roll the backup out of their truck and give it to John Crow for this race. Interestingly enough, that is the car that originally went to Dr. Petty, who is a well-known surgeon here in Charlotte that works with many of the race drivers.
Green flag is out on the Pro Division.
We got cars scattered everywhere right on the break.
You see Crow battling with the 10 car, one of the Husqvarna backed entries.
They got to slow down. They're coming back to the crash site here in a hurry down in the middle of turns 1 and 2. That's David Wagner, one of the cars that's tangled up here. And I believe Jim Henley is the other one that's T-boned Wagner in the side.
Keep an eye back in the pack there. See 1 car in the grass, and that's all it took. No, 1 car in a bad
that's
place.
That's the 1C. That's John Craig. Excuse me.
Craig just not where you want to be.
We have 3 number 1s in this division. We have Crow, John Craig, and David Wagner. That's John Craig that got turned around there.
This is not the only back in Legends car racing lately. You know the story on that, don't you, Mark?
I certainly do. This is an inside story. As a matter of fact, the folks here at Charlotte worked very hard for us not to find out this story. Now, Lugnut is the world's fastest mascot, but I understand, Lugnut, that you wrecked your car last week. How did you do that? Was there, how much damage to the car? That much. Final question. I mean, what did it look like when you were about to crash? All right. I take it you wouldn't want to do that again. Yeah, I guess he would because he doesn't have to fix it. Guys, let's go back to Ralph Shaheen and Doug Rice.
Finally, somebody who can communicate on Mark's level.
One of the more insightful interviews that Mark's done lately. Mark better get used to that sign language. He's got a 2-week-old baby daughter, so that's the only way she's going to be able to communicate for a while.
Sockwell in the 4U. What a good-looking car that is.
Isn't it? And he's a smooth driver. The thing that you'll notice about Brian, lap after lap, 1 lap looks just like the other, and I think that's the real key to him being successful this year. He's the first guy in the gate, too. When they open up for practice here, he's the very first one that pops into the garage area. He's out there fine-tuning that car.
You know, there's a handful of guys that are the same way. We get out here about 3 o'clock, I guess, every day, and they open the gates up about the same time. And it's always the same guys down there. Mike Wyke is there. Jimmy Sides is there. Big Daddy car is here. Brian Sockwell is right there. Bray Carey is right there. Every week, the same half a dozen guys are the first ones in, and it shows in their performance.
And normally those are the guys that wind up running up front through the entire event. You know, as you said, that Mike Wyke's car is not on the grid. Maybe Mark Garrow can find out the story about that.
Yeah, it's down there.
Yeah, he'll be coming out next. Sorry. brain lock there for a second.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Anybody who knows the barbecue capital of North Carolina, doesn't surprise me.
See, I used up that room for storing that knowledge I should have had from Mike White there.
Green flag.
You better hope your car didn't break down in Lexington.
I'm just wondering why you haven't brought any to the party one.
Well, that can be done.
There's Schultz in the 32. That one is David Wagner.
Talked to Greg Schultz for a long time today, and he's really fired up. He's ready to take this thing and move to the front. He's had a lot of people helping him put his program together this year. He's got a lot of guys building his engines. He says, I've not been exactly satisfied with it. He just can't find the handle. He said, there's not much you can play with, just tire pressure and springs, and really that's about all you've got to try to get the handle dialed in on these cars.
And he loves it when he gets the chance to win, because he does this on a pretty small budget, and that means a lot to him when he knows he can overcome some of the bigger dollar teams. And John Crow enjoying the fruits of driving one of the more well-funded cars as he battles with the one.
That's John Craig in that one. This is Crow in the other one. We've got two ones battling each other. Crow's a pretty good driver, too.
Yeah. That last thing he wants to do is tear up one of Rick Hendrick's cars. He'll never get a shot at one of his Winston Cup cars.
That's kind of a frightening thought.
Yeah.
There's no shortage of funds, though, on that Hendrick car. I mean, you can tell every piece on there is probably as good a piece as you can legally put on that car. And if you missed it earlier, Ricky Hendrick in the Chargers division drove to his first ever feature win tonight. This won't be Brian Sockwell's first ever win if he captures it tonight.
But Doug, you know what's really scary is he says the car is not to his liking yet. This guy was running semi-pro last year. He is in the pro division, and he is making a mockery of it right now.
He's been just obliterating the fields on a regular basis. Get a good look here at Greg Schultz back in the pack, battling with Doug Vandenbrink. Schultz does this with himself and one or two other people at the track. So you're right, Ralph. He shows up with about the least amount of manpower over in the garage.
One thing you don't see a lot of in the pro division is a lot of bumping and banging. These guys are a little bit smoother. They run hard, they run close, they run right on each other's bumpers. But they pressure each other into making a mistake more than they do try to help each other out of the groove.
I think they play a little bit more of the mental game there. There's Doug Vandenbrink, as you can see, moving up and holding on to that third place spot. As you said, they'll dog somebody and they'll tail them around for 4 or 5 laps and just try to worry it out of them, as opposed to going up there and tapping on them and trying to get them out of line. There's Brian Sockwell, our leader.
Nice, smooth, consistent lines.
He said he had this car, though, closer to where he wanted it than he did last week, and I hate to see it when he gets it just right. Chuck Grafar there in the 3C machine.
Mark, you got some info on Chuck?
Well, Chuck is one of those drivers that is having a good run tonight, but has had a miserable start to the Summer Legends Shootout. Remember, this is the man in the pro division who lost to John Crow last year by just a few points in the championship chase after missing a heat race on the final night and having to start in the back of the pack. That was simply all the difference there was. In 1995, nothing but trouble, but tonight he's put together at this point a solid 4th place run as he tries to put his program back together.
There's a good battle that's behind Grafar. That's probably the best battle on the racetrack right now. Everybody else is spread out. He got 3 ones in a row because Crow is closing in on this duo as well.
Pretty good poker hand here if they're aces. David Wagner and John Craig. Crow coming up on him. Craig takes a peek to the inside.
That's the way to go. Real difficult to make a pass on the outside of one of these Legends cars. And with these guys battling like that, it just allows Crow to really close in. Look how Craig's car really leans in the turn. You see that?
He rolls that car over there as he pushes it down into the turn. Craig holding off the charge of John Crow. I keep wanting to put Ricky Hendrick in that one car because he just ran a feature in that machine.
Battle for the lead getting a little bit warmer too. Sockwell been pacing himself right along, and Schultz has caught up to it.
Schultz pulled within a single car length here in 3rd place. Doug Vandenbrink is waiting back there in the wings. This is about as good as we've seen Vandenbrink race. He's really been up there tonight.
Lap traffic. Not much of a problem. That's first, second, and third right there.
It's about as good as it gets down the back stretch. A single car length separated the front three.
There's the battle with the ones. And look at Crow to the inside.
3 aces up here.
Now we see a little tapping going on as Craig gets to the inside now.
Craig moves around Wagner.
Nicely done. Oh, and Crow puts the horn on it. And look at the battle back up front. Give me that split screen. Too much racing action going on.
Need a picture within a picture here as Sockwell holds off Greg Schultz.
Boy, Brian is having to work for it now.
I think Vandenbrink maybe just sitting back there waiting to see if Schultz can move Sockwell out of the way, and he'll take advantage of his work.
White flag lap. This is it. Lay them all out on the table.
Sockwell likes to run a nice smooth line. They'll have to push him out of that if they want to beat him.
He knows Schultz has got to get to the inside. Nothing doing there. Who's getting the better drive off the turn? Schultz gets on the throttle. Can't do it. Sockwell wins. Schultz comes home in second. Here's the battle for fourth. Crow might pick off fifth. No, can't do it.
So for Janet Sockwell, the wife of Brian, who is at home a little bit banged up tonight, I imagine there's a pretty big celebration going on down in Greensboro.
We'll be back for more from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Take one last look at Brian Sockwell winning again at Charlotte. We've got one more Legends Car feature race left to go, but here are the results from the one we just ran. This is the top 10 for the Pro Features. Bunch of ones were in the middle of that one. John Craig got the best of the bunch. Wagner and Crow rounded out the battle of the ones. Masters are rolling out onto the racetrack, and here's the way their grid is going to shake out. Danny Boss, Cotton Spry in the front row, but watch that battle in row 2. What a great one it was last week. Back to the field, Tom Langston's been right in the thick of things every week. Benny Dakota has been right there. He was in the thick of that one last week as well. Bud Lewis back in row 6. Rounding out the field. Al Mitchell in the 9, been with us over the last couple of weeks. Just 2 more rows to go. Mickey Lawson will round it out. And the points now for the Masters division. So we're into our third race. James Hines, Mike White. That's the one to keep your eyes on, row number 2.
Of course, Mike White won this race last weekend. Back bumper first. He won it going backwards across the start-finish line in a great battle with James Hines.
Green flag is out on the last race of the night. Pick a line, make a line if you can't find one.
Danny Boss, the 2B car that's leading, was absent last week. He was on cruise, and right now he's trying to cruise up front. Doing a pretty good job of it.
The 16 car right there waiting. Cotton Spry. Look out. Here comes Mike White, who's really under the weather. Mike White. Oh, and he gets into Spry.
Mike runs off in the grass. No, you and I both talked to Mike earlier today, and he didn't look like he was going to be able to race tonight.
No, and he turned the other way. Now he's turning around. I'm waiting to see if Mike White has parked the car.
So your second, well,
it's broken right front. That really shakes up the points.
Now Mike he was 3 points away from being the leader.
James Hines right there in the 11J now will have a great opportunity to extend his lead here tonight. Here's another look at it.
I don't think Mike tried to turn him around. He didn't try to turn Cotton on purpose. That was just a case of where 2 guys were going for the same spot, and Cotton came down, Mike came up, and the end result, Mike's out of the race.
Yeah, Mike went over the rumble strips down there, and that probably upset the balance of the car. The 19 car having some debris coming off of it. Bring up the yellow, Howard Whitaker out of Concord. Charlotte Motor Speedway actually sits in
Cabarrus County,
which is the county for Concord. So your address here is actually Concord, North Carolina.
Yep, get the mail in Concord. It's actually a part of Concord. It's kind of an annex of Concord, the city.
And you got Harrisburg just about a quarter of a mile up the other street. Pretty easy to get mail here. You just put Charlotte Motor Speedway on it, it's going to find it.
Yep, it'll get its way here eventually. We do get the mail. We get mail from people wanting to know about drivers. That's the thing. And if they want to reach a driver, they'll just write Charlotte Motor Speedway, Kyle Petty, and drop it in the mail. Somehow or other it gets there.
There's Langston as we're back to green, and Gomez right behind him. I'm sorry, Ralph Medlin in the 35G.
Now, Tom Langston is the guy that's riding third in points right now. If he can come up and have a good run tonight, he can take over second with Mike White sideline down there in the grass.
There's Daryl Jackson. Team car running with him. Daryl Jackson, James Hines, some good friends who go racing quite a bit together.
They're all chasing Danny Bost right now, and Tom Langston. Tom is a guy that originally started out living in Wisconsin, came down here when the series was in its genesis, raced and said, I love this, packed up the truck, brought it down here, and has gone Legends racing ever since.
James Hines trying to look for a way around Jackson to the inside. Got him.
Made that look nice, didn't it?
Nice and smooth. James Hines does not want to get himself knocked out of this race. He needs to finish well here tonight. Second place is as good as a win here tonight for James Hines as far as the points are concerned.
As long as he's running at the finish, he's going to be in super shape. He's really going to pad his points lead over Mike White. And Mike's out. He busted the Heim joint on the front end of that car. The spindle is gone.
That's a battle for sixth. The 9 machine belongs to Al Mitchell. The 35G, of course, of Ralph Medlin from right here in Charlotte.
They're moving through a lot of traffic.
Dave Price sticking his nose in there. He'll split those two in the 10R. That's the car that he shares with DeBrule.
DeBrule did a pretty good job in that car earlier tonight, one of the earlier feature races. As they pour off down into turn number 1 here. 14X of Rene Dakota, as Ralph has pointed out a couple of times. That's one of the original Legends cars with the metal bodies on it. Not many of those still in service. Danny Bost takes a shot on the front stretch there from James Hines.
James Hines is working him pretty hard right now.
Danny Bost in that 2B car, hanging it out there, trying to hold on to this one as long as he can.
To show you how tough of a driver Mike White is, Danny Bost says his career goal is to finish in front of Mike White.
He's close to recognizing that career goal here tonight. He's going to finish in front of him, at least for this one race.
But holding on James Hines is every bit as impressive. When Hines is working him. Oh, they get together!
He got it all pretty solid, Ralph.
He kept rubbing him, Doug, and he kept pounding him, and it bit James Hines. And with Mike White out of it, James Hines did nothing to help himself here tonight.
I would imagine Mike was over there breathing a sigh of relief because he was going to finish last, but there's a good chance now that James Hines may finish next to last. And actually, the big winner out of all of this might be Tom Langston.
Absolutely.
He could come up with maybe enough points to take over first place.
Watch it here in your monitor. Bam, right into him and into the wall.
That's unusual that you see the guy that's doing the bamming from behind get turned around like that.
He must have hit him just right, because usually when you're going straight and you hit the guy like that, you back up, but it's unusual for the car to turn to the right.
And he crumpled his car up pretty nicely there when he got into the wall on the driver's side. That's a hard lick and a little bit dangerous there when you hit on the driver's side in any kind of race car. But we see James moving around in there as he takes off his helmet and exits the car.
Roger Slack on the scene, making sure everything's okay.
Roger's helping put the races together. Roger, of course, the flagman for ASA, but he comes here and he's sort of acting as one of the race directors, working with Jerry Gappins and the rest of the crew that actually put on the show here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Mickey Lawson, one of the top competitors in the Master Series, isn't he, Mark?
Well, for him, it was a good news, bad news kind of week. Now, he won at Caraway Speedway, which is nearby here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. But in winning that race, they found out at the end he had blown his motor, so he headed into tonight without a car. So in came Steve Thompson. They call him the Chicken Man. Well, they turned over this number 32 to him. Now, one other note, Bobby Mossgrover, the former Winston Cup driver that takes part in the Masters Division racing, he was going to start tonight's race, but just as they got into the cars and began to fire them up, his car, no sound there at all. They found out that he had broken a camshaft before he got set to go racing tonight.
Yeah, Mickey Lawson won up at Caraway. That's the first ever Legends race held at the Caraway Speedway, and that's up near Asheboro, North Carolina.
We're halfway home as we go back to green. DeBrule and Mitchell pounding on each other.
Danny Boss, though, still on the point here. Holding off the challenge in the Masters division.
Jay Barber in the R22.
Jay Barber is in the air conditioning business, and R22 is the coolant that they use in the air conditioners. Pretty clever marketing.
19, boy, he's having a wild night behind the wheel. Tom Langston. Oh, and he gets spun out.
It just got a little wilder, Ralph.
And we talked about his position in the points, and if he can't get that car going, it shakes him up.
All of the point leaders tonight are just having misery in their back pocket.
I love this Masters division. It is consistently unpredictable.
Well, Tom got his car refired, but he's going to be at least a lap down. There's the yellow.
One more look at it. Right up on the inside. He got off the brakes, and well, it was DeBrule who was driving that car before, the 10R, now under the controls of Dave Price.
Dave is fourth in points, so now he stands to gain the most. Maybe that's why he got up there next. Well, yeah,
stranger things have happened.
Tom Langston in the 19 got spun out there. Tom said he kept those awful pink wheels because the girls like them. I don't know which girls you're hanging out there with, Tom. Anyway, let's go down to Mark Garrow.
On the end of the hook is the James Hines White Lightning car. James, this is not the way you like to head back to the garage area, certainly before the end of the race with a wrecked race car. What happened out there? It looked like you got into the back of the leader, and after that, hello concrete.
Well, I got in the back of Danny. You know, I had a faster car, and I just waited to make my move, and I got in too soon. It didn't work. Hit the wall.
James Hines missed a golden opportunity to close in and build up a big lead over Mike White. Now let's go back to the green flag action.
Now Mitchell getting onto the bumper of the car in front of him. We're back to green. Look out. The 10R is sticking it in there.
Dave Price.
Wow, and he got a helping hand into the wall, and we go upside down as a 64 was not pleased with what was being done to him. He ran him right into the wall, it looked like, Doug.
And Punchy Whitaker upside down in his car after Price got into the wall hard. Or rather, maybe in fact, the Donald Whitaker entry.
And he comes with Dickerson in the 90 car, which has been upside down twice in a row now. I think he took him right into the wall. That's what it initially looked like to me, because it looked like he got right back on the throttle and went after it. Watch this. Now the first pass has already been made. Now look at the 64 come right back at him, Doug. He stayed right on him.
Got into the wall hard, then flips over completely.
Did he not stay right on him?
I want to see one more look at this.
Okay, now watch the 64. He comes up to repay the bump, but look at the car's pushing, Doug. It's pushing. He drives him right into the wall.
Looks like he was right behind him there. And then Price is up in the air, and then Punchy Whitaker gets up in the air. Donald Punchy Whitaker flips it over. Nasty wreck here on the backstretch.
The Masters division. I love this game. These guys are great. They might be 40 years of age or older, but there's some aggressive drivers. Stay with us. We're not done with them yet.
And we're going to walk over here right now. We have Punchy walking towards us right now after getting checked out at the ambulance. Punchy, you okay?
Oh, yeah, just fine, just fine.
What happened?
Well, we got together coming out of turn 2 there, and I think our bumpers might have got hooked or something, and I got into him and got him in the wall, and he came off the wall and hit me, and then we went tumbling.
How does it feel to be driving upside down?
Do what?
How does it feel to drive upside down?
Well, I just soon drive right side up. It kind of gets cramped in there when you're upside down.
This is a race driver with a good first nickname right now. Punchy Whitaker is just a tad punchy after that wreck.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark. We're back to green.
Punchy runs a local tire store. He's going to have a couple of stories to tell up there over the next couple of weeks. Danny Boston still on the point.
With Daryl Jackson hot on his heels and with a handful of laps remaining, anything is possible with these Master Division guys. Don't go away. You don't want to miss the finish of this one.
He had a finish across the line backwards last week. We've had a drive into the wall and upside down already this week.
Jackson trying to close back in to make another attempt. You don't want to get out of the throttle unless you absolutely have to when you're battling like that for the lead, because you will lose a lot of momentum.
You know, Ralph, we've been talking about all the other point leaders, but Danny Bost is 6th in points right now. He holds on and wins this thing. He's going to probably catapult up to about 3rd. This could be a big night for him in the points race.
Don't make any mistakes.
Got to finish.
There's Jay Barber. Al Mitchell loops it in turn 2. Is the field with the leaders, and Rene Dakota go down the backstretch.
There's Al Mitchell waiting for everybody to pass. I think he's going to be able to drive on, but he sure laid down a smoke screen.
Darrell has lost a little bit of ground here.
He's got Jay Barber working on him right now.
That's probably the best battle going right now. Bost is really fighting a push down in turns 3 and 4, Doggett. That car really wants to slide up off of 4, and Rene Dakota closing in to battle for 3rd now as well with Barber, that blue car at the bottom of your frame.
Taking a look at Danny Bost's lead is about 2 car lengths as they power up, come back to the stripe. Just a handful of laps remaining here. We'll see if Danny Bost can keep that ill-handling race car on the point. 5 laps to go.
Tom Langdon, who is 3rd in the points, Doug, has pulled off the racetrack. This one is really going to shake the points up. There's Medlin. That's the battle for 6. Medlin in the 35, the red entry. The 10 car is Roger Simons.
That car is also pulling multiple duty tonight. It was in one of the earlier feature races with a different driver aboard. I believe Brian Simons was the driver that time.
Should have just 2 laps remaining when the leaders cross the stripe. Jackson has closed up a little bit now on Bost. Can he hold him off?
Ralph, it looks like Bost got a better line going than he had about 3 laps ago. He may have let off the gas a little bit and actually is going faster.
But watch him here in 3 and 4. Watch this car push all the way up towards the wall.
That rear end wants to go out and kiss the wall, but he actually pulled away a little bit there.
Final lap. The Masters Division, round number 3 of the Summer Legend Shootout Series is coming to a close. Danny Bost down the backstretch and into turns 3 and 4 for the final time. He fights the push and claims the checker should move way up in the points, as this one is finally in the book. Daryl Jackson gets 2nd, Barber gets 3rd. We'll be back to wrap things up from the Charlotte Motor Speedway on Sports South right after this. Well, the racing is done for round number 3 here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Let's take a look at the top 10 for you of the Masters Division finish. Victory to Danny Bost, and Jay Barber was able to hold on for 3rd. Rene Dakota coming home in 4th. Bud Lewis with a top 5 finish. Back half of the field, Mickey Lawson, we talked about that entry, and Howard Whitaker rounds out the top 10. Now, tonight's best move is brought to you by Gatorade. No questions here as to what the wildest action of the evening was. Watch this.
Punchy
Bumpers
Whitaker.
hooked. I'm sorry, Doug. Bumpers hooked? I don't know. I think he was a little frustrated. He got tapped from behind, got into him, and couldn't get off the backside of him.
But I don't think Punchy wanted to punch him into the wall quite like that, though.
Certainly not that hard. Hey, if you don't have any plans for the 4th of July, how about joining us? Dick Trickle and John Andretti are. Guarantee you that'll be worth some fireworks. We'll be right here for Summer Legends Shootout round number 4 at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And we'll have our own fireworks. Plenty of them where Legends cars are involved. Another great night of racing from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Round number 3 goes in the books from the Summer Legends Shootout Series. For Doug Royce and Mark Wrecker Boy Giro, I'm Ralph Sheheen. We'll see you next Tuesday night from Charlotte.